Hello, everyone. You'll have to excuse me, I have a cold, and I've been kind of holding off on doing these recordings just because of that, and my voice is not any better. So I'm just going to plow through because I know you guys are all waiting on this information. So right now, this recording is just going to focus on the layout of your final PPE report, and then I'll address the project section of that report. Okay, so right now on the HIM PPE website. Okay, so this is your manual, your PPE manual. I'm on this first page, and the first thing that you need to do is go to this final PPE report instructions. All right, now if you haven't, make sure you read through this entire thing. This is going to give you your learning outcomes for this assignment, the PPE in general, and then it's going to give you the specific instructions for each section of your final PPE report, as well as the grading rubrics to make sure that you've covered everything that you need to cover. All right, so let's start off with just the layout of this report in general, okay? So here it says a final PPE report should be submitted as a Word document, double-spaced, 12-point times New Roman or Arial font. There should be a cover page, there should be a table of contents, and the content of the report should be laid out in the order described below. So here's an outline for you all, okay? And then make sure you read all this, you know, about being neat, well organized, proofread it over and over again. Again, review the grading rubrics, use appropriate headings and subheadings. This is going to help me out grading tremendously, just to help me know where I'm at when I'm grading. Note that the appendices won't count toward the minimum number of pages for each section, but I would still I still want you to include them if you have supporting information or things that you'd like to share. And appendices should go at the very end of the report. And so I'll show you, I'll do my best to demonstrate that right now. I'm going to pull up like a sample, a template I've kind of created. So I'll try to show you how the appendices would work. I want to note this information here that's italicized. We really want you to work hard to elaborate on your experience and address all the elements of this report, okay? This is the only way for me, your instructor, to see that you comprehend what you've learned and experienced and that you're able to relate it to HIM coursework, the revenue cycle, data management, and organization practices, okay? And so I think that that really comes more into play when you're addressing the content areas. And so I'll hit on that in my next recording, but I just want to point that out, that that really is a goal here, and just keep that in mind as you're writing, okay? Okay, so let's get going here on this report. So I'm going to switch screens here because I want to show you what your cover page should look like and your table of contents. So I'm going to do a new share here. There we go. Okay, so now you should see this. So your cover page is going to have a title. So it's your final PPE report. You want to, of course, include your name. And then I want you to include the name and address of the PPE site and the name and the title of your PPE site mentor, okay? And then the dates of your PPE, which I did not include here, but so a lot of you are going on October 28th, 2019 to November 8th. Okay. All right, so there's what your cover page could look like, and of course you can get as fancy as you want. I'm okay with that. All right, so then your table of contents, and your table of contents should be pretty straightforward and simple, of course. What I've done is I've just taken the final PPE report outline from the manual and essentially copied it over here. And so it flows specifically according to that outline. And so because we're just going over the PPE project today, I've just filled out that. And so when you're all done, you'll want to come in and put in your page numbers, of course. But for now, I just want to show you what it looks like. And as you can see, I have each section of the report laid out here and at the very end of my appendices. And so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a second here. All right, so that's your kind of layout, okay? And now I'm going to switch back. I'm going to go back to the manual. Okay, so now we're back at the manual. And so let's go down to the PPE project section because that's what this is focusing on, all right? So first of all, I think you all should know your PPE site mentor should assign you a project that would take you approximately 20 hours to complete. This may require you to use your own time in the evenings to work on. Remember that it's your responsibility to seek out the resources that you need in order to complete this. And let's see, what else do I want to say about this? You will be getting on the final evaluation that your PPE mentor does. They will be giving you a specific evaluation score or what have you on the project itself, okay? So the first section of the evaluation is on your skills, and then the second part is really focused on the project. And so I just want to make you aware of that, okay? The project portion of the report here, I would appreciate that it not exceed 8 pages. It should be double spaced, and that doesn't include figures, tables, and appendices. Where it says PowerPoint slides here, I want to comment on that quickly. Some sites and some mentors will ask our students to present their final project to, maybe it's just a small group, the mentor and maybe a couple of supervisors, or maybe it is presented in front of the entire department that the project is impacting, and those kinds of things. So if you are asked to do a presentation, I would like you to include the PowerPoint slides as appendices within, or sorry, not as appendices, I guess that would be, sorry, I take that back. I think there is a section for the presentation slides within the actual outline of the PPE project section. I'm sorry, I don't want to confuse you. So anyways, if you do a presentation where it says PowerPoint slides, that's what that means. If you don't do a presentation, don't worry about it. Just don't include that as a section of that part of the report. All right, definitely have a, at the end of each section of the report, I would like to have you list your references. So for the project, try to keep track of what references you use to develop your project and work on your project. So if you're using the Minnesota Legal Manual or you're using the organization's policies and procedures, make sure you keep track of that and include that on a reference page, okay? You need to clearly and thoroughly address elements 1 through 8 on this page here. So it's essentially all the components, and we'll go through that in a sec. Let's see. Of course, we want you to write in complete sentences, use good grammar and spelling and all of that good stuff. Now here in red, it talks about the project containing PHI. Okay, so if your project that you're working on has you working on protected health information, I don't, of course, in any way want you to jeopardize patient confidentiality or any of that. And so it would be up to you to kind of provide samples or mock documents in order to demonstrate the types of information and data used. So if that requires you to make up a bunch of patient names and dates of birth and that kind of thing, that's just fine. And of course, don't get carried away. I don't need like 3 pages of that. I just want to see examples, okay? So we can understand and follow what your project entailed, okay? If you have any questions on that, if your project does involve PHI, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I can help you work through some of that stuff, okay? Of course, give each section a title that identifies which area it is that you're addressing. And then, okay, so then we're going to jump in here. All right, so the first thing is I'm going to switch my share again. Sorry for this jumping back and forth. All right, so the first thing that we need to address is the project information document. Actually, I shouldn't have done that. Hold on. Bear with me, everyone. All right, the project information document. So this is what you need to fill out with your mentor when they give you the project. And so to find that project information document, you go over here to project information, scroll down a ways, and here it is. It's this project title. You can simply copy and paste it into your report. And so I'm gonna switch screens again. And I'm gonna show you how I did that. Okay, so here's my table of contents. Here's my sections. We have a PPE project information document. Give it a title, project information document, copy and paste it right in here, okay? Fill that out completely. This is a really important thing, and also I'll just take this moment to say that your mentor should give you the project on day 1 or day 2. If you don't have a project and they're not talking to you about the project within day 1 or day 2, start asking about it, okay? They should all be very well aware that they need to have a project for you. And if you're starting to get the impression that maybe they don't, you need to address it right away, okay? All right, so work with your mentor to get this filled out, and maybe they already have this filled out for you, and that's wonderful. You can just copy and paste it. The second part, or the second section of your PPE project section of this report is the introduction and brief overview of the project, which includes a problem statement, okay? So this is where you really address the factors that are contributing to the problem. So what is it, or I should say, why are you completing this project? What is the problem that the organization is trying to overcome or correct by having you work on this project? And so you need to be very clear about that. You know, consider constraints, you know, if there's limits on cost, maybe there's lack of resources available, maybe there's additional knowledge that is needed, and maybe you know, just kind of like how your mentor describes the background on this, kind of how they got to where they are and why you're working on this project, okay? So that's where you kind of lay out that, like, why are you doing this and what caused this project to arise, essentially, okay? So give that a heading and then go ahead and start writing your project, okay? So maybe, I'm just going to use this as an example because I want to talk about the appendices. But maybe you're writing and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have this policy that I need to, or that was really integral in this section and helps explain the project, okay? So you're writing along and you're like, okay, please see, I'm just going to make this up, release of information policy, or no, I don't want to say that. I want to say the release of information policy was integral in in allowing me to complete this project and informed my decisions. Okay, and then up here you would go see Appendix A. Okay, and then I would also then, when you know what your Appendix A is, you can go up here, back up to your table, and you say release of information policy. Okay, and then appendices, remember, should go at the very end of your report. And so you would just, I would start a, insert page break, and then I would, I don't know if you want to have, I would just jump right into appendix. I would just title it Appendix A and then include it there, okay? I wouldn't, I don't know, you could insert a blank page, I suppose, or not a blank page, but a page that just says appendices, and then on the next page, title it Appendix A. Then I'm going to switch back. So this is how your report should kind of flow, okay? I really apologize for this cold, you guys. I'm not I'm not with it all the way either here. So anyways, this is just a sample for you, and if you want, I can post this out on in Blackboard as well. In fact, I will do that just so you have something to kind of go by. Okay. All right. So back to my daughter's texting me. Okay, she's gonna have to wait. All right. So then you would just continue through this with, the next section being your strategy and action plan, where you identify the approaches, the strategies that you considered in solving the problem, defining your strategy, identifying your action plan, so the steps you're going to take to complete the project. Next section is methodology use, so the resources, interviews, data collection, research, and or supporting documentation that you used. The results and findings. So maybe there was something else that you found as you were working through this project, and the end result, of course, of what you found. The deliverable or end product. So if that was a report of some kind or a data visualization or maybe a policy and procedure, that's where you would put this deliverable. And then you would have that section, if you presented it, on your slides, and then of course have a reference page at the end, okay? Now, this is also where you need to pay close attention for this section of the report, as this is the grading rubric that I'm going to use to grade it, okay? So logistics here, double space, no longer than 8 pages, which I may be modifying because I don't know if you can get that all in 8 pages, so watch for that. But where you define the problem. So remember, make sure you have a clear problem statement, and you can find a lot of resources online for problem statements and things like that. You want to identify the strategies and an action plan, and remember to read this, because to get full credit, I want you to look at multiple approaches for solving the problem, okay? Clearly and thoroughly identifies the strategy that you'll use. The action plan steps are clearly identified and thoroughly explained, okay? Again, just make sure you read through this. So methodology, your results, and then lastly, I will address how organized it was, and of course, this is where you'll get graded on your grammar and spelling, and just be sure to proofread it, okay? And so that is that section of the final PPE report. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Of course, I'm here for you anytime. So my next recording will address the content area section of the report, and hopefully will be a little bit shorter. All right, have a good evening.